I need some money. That's what he's about to say. Welcome to the stream tonight. Pro Se Lawsuit Center. We provide the tools that you need to get some things done. Let's get everything set up here so that we can rock and roll. Okay, so we got a new product. We're going to tell you guys about it. And there it is. So Facebook Gym, yeah, they don't like my stuff that I have to say. So, and I didn't like what they had to say either. So the dislogging was mutual. I'm just going to get everything lined up here. Okay, so welcome to our stream tonight, and we're going to be talking about the new product that I put together. Now, you guys know I roll without limitations, and yeah, that sometimes, most of the time, it creates obstacles, but we learn how to get around them. The real-time feedback from all the people that have invested in the past, or some people are using the strategies from the YouTube channel and they're still in their house fighting. So yeah, that real-time feedback is what helped us put together what we got going on right here now. So we're going to talk about the new eviction package that we put together. We got a brand new Fight the Foreclosure Eviction Process lawsuit package. Now, you guys know that I've had to dumb down my titles of stuff, okay? Because y'all know that's not usually how I talk. Okay, but it is what it is. We're going to make adjustments so that we could be on their platforms or whatever and get and market our products. So, but we're not changing the products. We're just saying, But we got a good following now, like 12,000 something people on the YouTube channel, and we have a lot of people that have been using our stuff that's not on YouTube too. So we run higher than that. Okay, let's just get right to it, and then you guys will figure out. I gotta close up a few of these other things so we don't have. Okay, so if you ever faced a foreclosure eviction notice or that situation, do you feel the fear in your chest, wondering what will happen to your family? If you're facing that situation, do you have that fear in your chest, wondering what happened to your family? You have to change that look on your face to let your spouse and your family know that you got this. You know what I'm talking about. Every year, thousands of people are forced out of their homes by the system that's designed to move fast and crush the unprepared. But here's the truth. Most foreclosure evictions are rushed. They're based on the theory of landlord-tenant situation, and they're moved down to a court that doesn't have judicial authority to be handling any property issues. Many of them happen in courts that have no lawful jurisdiction. The attorneys, the judges, they count on you giving up, and the system is structured to punch you in the face a whole bunch of times. Imagine this. The sheriff shows up at your door, your belongings with a whole bunch of other people with guns, and your belongings are thrown out on the curb, and your family has nowhere to go. All because the court rubber stamped the landlord-tenant crap in a court that didn't have jurisdiction to even hear a property issue, even though you had your stuff filed in federal court, or they did it without a bank or checking the laws. This happens every day in America. Eviction courts are not there to protect you. They're administrative mills pushing cases through as fast as they possibly can based off of the local rules that they come up with at each location. And they're not connected to the civil rights or federal laws. They're only connected to the players. You follow me. You get minutes to defend your life. At the end, most of you who went through this, at the end, you walk away saying they already had all that shit lined up, what they were going to do. Everything was lined up, what they're going to do, and they didn't give a crap about anything anybody else had to say. If you walked into that courtroom with the conventional defense of their fraud and how they don't have jurisdiction and all of that, you'll lose. You're done. Your stuff's getting thrown out in the yard. What happened is they'll move your ass up on the list so they can get you handled before you figure out that you have the fire if you invested in our stuff here. That you have the fire, you're just not using it right, or you're too close and they're going to try and get around. Everything that you work for will be gone. I know you feel I know the panic that you feel. Okay, I know that. I know the panic that you feel. I know the helplessness of starting. Have to notice, wondering how this happened so fast. But here's what I also know: the Constitution is still the law of the land. And when you bring your fight to the right court addressing the why they're able to violate you, the why they're able to violate you, instead of focusing on what they did, which is their conventional crap, you change the game. It's time to stop being the victim. I'm going to say that again. It's time to stop being the victim. You become one forcing them to answer to the fraud. You become the one forcing them to answer to the fraud. That's why I created the challenge, the foreclosure eviction lawsuit package. Now, it's way more than challenge, but these people don't like it when I use the word stop or crush or annihilate, bomb. They really don't like the word bomb. Well, I don't like the word bomb either, but this is not just information. What you get in this package is ready to file lawsuits written with federal case law and federal acts. Okay, so this is what makes that valuable. The state players cannot answer to anything that you file that you get from me, from our, winning court now, because we use federal case law and federal acts. They can't respond to federal case with statutes, and they can't use federal unless they have a federal bar card. And we have one. I have one. You guys can get one off the website, $75. And so, they're kind of in a pickle. Here's what you get: a complete foreclosure eviction defense lawsuit, a statement of constitutional emergency to make the court answer that statement of constitutional emergency. Also, it actually forces the court to move the case up to the higher court. And when it gets to the higher court, according to the administrative BS, is stripped away from the case, and the higher court has to rule only on the constitutional issues. Bam! And then you get motions to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. But I'm going to show you, because I said something in the beginning about that. Okay, but we have a whole different way. You get an affidavit, certificate of service, and step-by-step instructions, how to do it in the right order. And we're going to start adding these step-by-step instructions to all of our packages. So you won't have to go, well, you still should go to the YouTube channel and look up the instructional video playlist and watch the instructional video for the package, but you'll have a clear idea how to deploy the package without having to go get the video every time you get ready to do something. So this package was built for you to take immediate action. No waiting, no confusion, just clear steps on how to protect your family, protect your property, and get these people up out your face. Now, this package will, when you get this package, you'll file in federal court and force the process to stop. And that's how I stopped the divorce case. That's how but there's some punching along the way before you get to federal court. Because if you don't crush the state court process, then the state court's going to be calling them money. They're not going to be lying to them if you don't know what the hell you're doing. But they're going to tell them they still got jurisdiction, they got control. Don't worry about it. Just stall while they get up on the list again. You don't want to be on the list or even in their court. The goal is to make them deliver your deed. With this package, you're going to demand proof of the jurisdiction, and we'll show you how you're going to do that. You're going to be challenging the fraudulent filings and defective notices. And we're going to hold the attorney and judge accountable to the Constitution. Protect your home from lawful seizure. Create a record that you can use for your RICO claim. Now, this is really cool because we're not going to litigate nothing on state court because we already know in culture nonviolent laws and they make up their own rules over there, whatever. Okay, but you can punch them around over there and make their butts go down the rabbit hole. And then when you get to federal court, you can demand that the federal court judge order these fools to the settlement table. Now, on my document, you'll see I got settlement conference, okay, but the demand for jury over here, I put a slash. So I said she's not accepting it circled, and I initialed it. I'm not taking it back. Okay, so you're going to create your record. You don't really need the RICO claim in how we got this set up. And I'm going to go to the website and show you the package. I can show you more. This whole thing is general. I will show you a little more about the power you get to fight back, the power to take control. Oh, shutting down the money. Oh, I'm letting a bag out of the cat. That's all right, because the bag ain't never been in the cat when they're doing fraud like that. Oh, look at that. I'm making that shit rhyme. I just need a hat. Okay, I need to keep talking like that. Okay, so the power to say, not this time. I don't think so. Hell no, not this time. I got a new legal team that got my back over here at Pro Se Lawsuit Center. Just tell them on the phone. Call them on the phone, talk some shit. Tell them, you got a new legal team, throw my name on the table too. If you get my package, if you didn't get my package, you still throw my name on the table. You just need to hook me up with that review, when that video review. Every day you wait, you lose leverage. So don't wait till the sheriff is showing up at your door. Don't wait until your belongings are getting thrown. Don't wait until you have to decide, are you going to help your spouse? Are you going to yell at these people? What about your kids? What your stuff? No. Don't wait. Click the button now. If you know you're facing an eviction process, you're about to go whatever, click the button now. It's on sale right now, as low as it's going to go. As a matter of fact, I had it at $400, but I dropped it down a little bit lower for this. And for the rest of this weekend, I'm going to leave it at what I got it at. If y'all ask want to know what I got it at, I'll be able to click that thing over there, go check it out, because I could tell you it's $5 million and it could be worth every penny of that. But if you don't go read and see what you're getting, okay, you might, we learned that in car sale. That's called selling the sizzle, not the steaks burned up, because we sell it a whole bunch of times when you're selling cars. You want to sell the sizzle, the excitement. Right here, we're selling the fire. Okay, we don't have no sizzle. We got fire. Steaks burned up, because we got fire. Get to challenge the foreclosure eviction lawsuit package of your knock on the door. Fight back with the law on your side. Click the button down below. Or if you have any questions about this, just give me a call. 913-240-0227. I'm right here answering my own phone and telling you what the hell's going on. Answer the phone and what's going on. No, they're not. And that's the thing. Federal attorneys ain't touching. I haven't had yet federal attorneys step up to the plate to help these fools from state level take on the stuff that you get at winning in court. Nope. And I'll tell you why. In my opinion, the federal attorneys have a 98%, they call it conviction rate, a plea rate, success rate, throw your ass under the table rate, basically what it is. They ain't trying to go to no trial. They don't have time for that shit. They need you to take the deal so they can move on to the next order of business, just like on the state level. But it's just prettier. It's much quieter in the building. You can't take your phone in and record shit. Oh, yeah, that's the situation. It's the same thing. You have to bring the fire to the table and force all of the players to visualize their shared liability. That's how that works. Okay, we're going to do a screen share. And I'm going to show you guys what the package looks like. Bang, here we go. Fight the foreclosure eviction process. It was 400, but I marked it down right before the stream. Stop the foreclosure. Lockout. Challenge the eviction. Force the state law says they're supposed to deliver your deed, but that's not what they did. Okay, so you can see here, this package is structured to go after the buyer. You jam up the buyer's assets and money. You jam up what the buyer just bought. So, the first thing we got is less pendants that immediately clouds the title, and you just place it on the record at the county recorder's office. Now, what we've been teaching people is that, to do the less pendants, you got to have a certified copy of the lawsuit you file in federal court. Oh, wait. No, you don't need all that shit. Coach has been doing some work over here. Okay, you need a notice of fraudulent conveyance, which declares the transfer void, and the deed delivery concealment is a problem. So, we also use fraudulent concealment, and I think that's in here somewhere. Yeah, right down there. Okay, so when you file a notice of fraudulent conveyance, after you do the less pendants, you don't need to file the lawsuit stuff. Oh, this is kind of and this is listed in order that you use these. This is a lot of work right here. Okay, so the notice of fraudulent conveyance you file after you place on the public record after you place the less, and that jams up the title. totally jams up the clouds of title, shuts them, now this is without the RICO, okay? This is designed to shut them down without having to file a lawsuit or whatever. Now, you're going to end up doing that at some point along the way, okay? But the goal here is to jam up their money, because when they steal these houses, when they buy these stolen, I don't know how you want to put it, okay? They're in a rush to get that shit done and get that shit opened up and get that shit rented out so they can start making the money to pay back the state or the bank and whoever the hell they're saying. I don't even know who. I mean, the whole thing's fraud, so I don't want to say this or that and have y'all think I believe that shit. Just saying. Okay, so the first two documents cloud the title, and you haven't had to take no money out of your pocket except for the $10 or $15 they charge you to place the shit on public record. That's the way it's supposed to go. Okay, and then you got a demand letter to the buyer. The demand letter to the buyer strips away their innocent purchaser defense. That's the crap that they used or whatever. It strips away that defense and puts them on notice for it now. Like we said at the top of the show, at the gate, it forces them to visualize their shared liability. Oh, I put a little work in this puppy. And then you got the emergency temporary restraining order preliminary injunction that also has an emergency statement, a constitutional statement of emergency. Now, the temporary restraining order preliminary injunction, generally, if they have a case against you or whatever, because we're talking about the eviction, you can file that in their case. Okay, but when you file your federal complaint, which is the next one down, you would file that also. You would file that in your federal complaint to force the federal judge to get control of the situation. Anchored in fraudulent concealment and the delivery failure with a quiet title. You're demanding a quiet title, and you're also suing them for the RICO and you're avoiding the eviction court's decision. Now, that's a lot. This strategy came up from Marquita. She invested in the foreclosure defense writ of mandamus package. And that's really the only package, a way that you can attack, was the only way you can attack in the eviction process from the foreclosure stuff. Fraud, okay, because the buyer hid behind all of that shit. And now we figured out that we separate the buyer and just go after the buyer and the state. Then, when we did that, when the buyer was served, the next day, the buyer for Marquita put a sign up for sale and stopped going to the house and working on it. And then they filed a restraining order against. I guess Marquita that was going to help them or whatever. And so now we already have a temporary restraining order that's in the premium packages to stop the state court. Okay, we have the temporary restraining order to block the state from receiving federal funding as per the separation clause in the Constitution. The separation clause in the Constitution mandates that if the state violates the citizens' due process and Fifth Amendment, if I believe are the two main ones, the state does not qualify for federal funding. Now, that's not in this package, but you could put it in the package. That's in the other premium packages. And that came about from one of my sessions, trying to figure out how to shut the court's money down. Yeah, I know there are probably not many think about doing that. Yeah, but we roll without no limitations over here, and that's how we do it. That's how we came up, and I ain't going to tell y'all how long it took me to get to that. Most homeowners lose their homes at the eviction stage, not the foreclosure itself. Now, the fact is, it's all part of the foreclosure. It's not over. The foreclosure is not over until your ass gives up and goes and sits the hell down. That's when it's over. It's over when you give up. So that's just what I got to say about that. I'm going to try not to get worked out. By then, the buyer already has the deed, and the sheriff is already, it doesn't roll quite that fast because they're supposed to go through an unlawful detainer process, which is totally fraud over in the court or whatever, But here's the truth: no deed delivery, no transfer. The state law requires the deed be delivered to make the sale valid. When that step is skipped or concealed, the entire foreclosure transfer collapses. Fraudulent concealment destroys the buyer's shield. They don't have no defenses. They can't claim to be an innocent purchaser if the process was hidden from you and the court, and it wasn't hidden from the court. But the municipal eviction court has no constitutional jurisdiction. And you can read the court clerk's manual for your state if you don't think I know what I'm talking about. The municipal court jurisdiction comes from a city ordinance. When I read that, I almost fell out of the chair. Are you kidding me right now? What corporation can give his own court judicial authority all day long? Exposing this pulls a rug out from underneath their eviction order. Federal court brings real oversight. Once you file in federal court, the game changes. Okay, but you got to stop the state court process first, or the game ain't going to change. It's just going to adjust. Okay, but it's not going to adjust enough to what you need to get control. Your claim under 42 U.S.C. and RICO opens the door for constitutional protections and treble damages. I just put $200 million. I don't give a shit about the treble damages because the way I see it, they're gonna have to pay whatever you say. They're gonna just go sit the hell down and do whatever you ask. The first thing you should be asked is to get your deed delivered. That's number one. Your deed delivered. You shouldn't worry about quiet title and all that shit. Get your deed delivered, like the statute said they're supposed to be doing. Now, this helps you. You're clouding the title, creating leverage, recording the less pendants, and the fraudulent conveyance notice makes the property toxic. The buyers can't or sell it until your claims are resolved. But that's still hot. This one badass strategy right here. I don't know how they're gonna get around this. In plain English, this package works because it attacks the one thing the foreclosure machine can escape. The laws upon requirement that the deed be delivered properly. That crap happened at the gate. Once you show they concealed it, the foreclosure, eviction, the resale, all that shit collapses. What this package does for you, stops the lockout process cold by moving the fight over in the federal court. Freezes the title so no buyers can sell or refinance with you, it blocks the buyers from claiming innocence. They can't hide behind "we didn't know." Challenges the eviction order by showing the court that municipal court had no jurisdiction. Builds your lawsuit around fraud and failure to deliver the deed as required by state law. That's called real estate deed fraud. And that's the name of the lawsuit that's in the premium package and package 4. This gives you leverage. Buyers often fold once they see the title is clouded and litigation is active and the property value changes. This package opens the door for re-entry and restoration of ownership. And then you can see here, and this is where we're going to start providing is it in there? The full instructions are supposed to be here. We'll have to work on that. We do have the full instructions, which actually breaks it down to it's really pretty powerful. Welcome to the show, my dog. No, I never said that they would. They make you think that they're going to when they take your money and they lie to your face. Okay, that's kind of what I'm talking about with that. I'm with you. I already know they're not, and the reason. And I'm just gonna stick with foreclosure attorneys, okay? Because foreclosure attorneys they help their buddies down the street do the same thing. So they're going to take your money and tell you whatever you need to do, bankruptcy, loan modification. Well, first off, tell you need to disclose your financial statement, all the money, all whatever. And then, whatever. Then in the end, they'll either tell you that the judge threw it out. And nothing I could do. I told him I was going to sue his ass, but he said, sue me. So the judge threw it out. So you should take the deal and pack up your stuff. I don't know why you thought you could win in foreclosure court anyway. So I tried to help you the best I could do. And since you ran out of money, there's no reason for me. There's no reason for me to still be here. Okay, sorry. I'm just thinking that's how that conversation probably would go. Federal court has no jurisdiction on foreclosures. Well, I'm not sure where your point is here. Okay, but I mentioned at the gate that what we do here is we address the reason why they're able to violate us, not so much what they did, okay? So, and number two, you're totally wrong because If the foreclosure was filed in federal court, then federal court would have jurisdiction over it. That's where it should be filed in the first place, because state court is bullshit, and the statutes and codes that they use are not valid laws. Don't have enacting clauses, titles, or sorry, I get my fingers mixed, or bodies. They're not valid laws. They're public policies put out by a corporation that has no more authority to do that shit than Walmart. But they've indoctrinated us to believe all of this bullshit, and everybody believes all stuff. So federal courts have jurisdiction over whatever is filed in that court. The state courts are total bullshit. Now, don't get me wrong, federal courts bullshit too. You just have to make their ass, you have to force them to visualize shared liability. I mean, they'll start out with the magistrate judge, and the magistrate judge does not have jurisdiction to be involved in your case without the consent from all parties. Okay, all parties. When I filed the last case I filed last month, I just got a thing that said the judge is blocking the service because I didn't send out these papers that they brought to me where they just wrote this shit and printed it off saying that my defendants could choose the magistrate judge if they want to. And I didn't send that shit out. I told the clerk, wait a minute, this is my case. In order for a lesser judge to be involved, all parties have to agree. I'm not agreeing, so I'm not agreeing, and I looked at her, and finally she said, well, Ms. Neighbors, if you don't agree, well, then, Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna have to address that. Another thing that I learned how to address is the fact that they're playing hot potato. When we brought the RICO claim in their face, then they started playing hot potato, sending it over here and over there to that county, this county, that county. And I put that together for myself too. And then I'm going to demand to change the venue and move it back to where I found it in the first place, because they didn't have any authority to move it from there without a judge's order, which means that the party would have a chance to object to the whatever. And so, yeah. They don't like doing that part of it. They're just not used to people knowing that they need to address the reason why and not so much the what they did. We just gonna get the people that we got on. Thank you, Lovely, but we got a program that we got put together based off the real-time feedback from people that are actually invested in the stuff and are actually using it. And so that's what we're going to stick with. And whether or not they're a monopoly, that doesn't matter. We just need their ass to go sit the hell down and leave our house alone, one house at a time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If you're using my stuff, then you should have filed a counterclaim in the state court process. But before you do that, you need to add their parties to it. You add the state to the counterclaim. You add the judge to the counterclaim, because the judge is getting paid by the state to give your shit away. And then you add the attorney or whoever started this to the counterclaim. And you add it to your $200 million counterclaim, and you file it in the state case. That's how we crush that. Now, remember, we use federal case law and federal acts, and they can't respond to none of that with statutes and codes. So they're toast already. Okay, but that's how we do that. You want to crush the state court process and then get over the federal court so you can crush them if you need to. I know people telling me, oh, they're not going to, whatever. Well, judge is going to throw my shit out. Well, that's fine. I already tell you that shit if you watch the video. I tell you the judge is going to throw your shit out. And I tell you, I'm sure the judge is not going to provide or find the facts and the conclusions of law when they throw your shit out. And that means they just threw your shit out in their administrative hearing. And on the federal level, the federal level throws your ass under the bus too. But remember, we go after the why, not so much we include the what, but we jam in the ass up for the why. So you can do a supplemental pleading. That's how we make adjustments to all of the stuff, supplemental pleading. Not filing an amendment. You can go to the Federal Rules Civil Procedure, and you can see where you file an amendment and scroll down to the bottom of that, all the way down by the number. And you'll see it says supplemental pleading. You can file a supplemental pleading in a case. To do so, you have to add a party, add a count. Oh, I got that wrong finger. Or parties, and have to be connected to the original reason why you're in the court in the first place. So if you're facing an eviction process, we like to just file the stuff in the municipal court or the justice court or the shitty court, whatever the hell, just for the hell of it, we use that filing or the certified copy of all that to prove that. Okay, but we got a new way of handling this right now. We just talked about, and that's using the notice of conveyance and the lien and all that stuff to jam up the buyer's money while you're doing this other stuff. Okay, you jam up the property and you cloud the title. That's how. And then it's a problem for them because they got this big ass loan that they have to get paid back in a real short amount of time. So they got to get that shit rolling, opened up, and get somebody in there paying them because they didn't give them any of the money that you paid in. They kept that money and took the property back. Or at least that's what they're going to try to do. Ow. Welcome to the show tonight. You're non-judicial. They're hanging around and giving you notice. Oh, lovely. You thought you had rights because I'm not. I'm talking about everybody. All of me too. I don't have no rights either unless I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make them respect me. And well, they know I am and I have been. And it's, it cost me a lot, and now I'm divorced because I won't give up. I just keep doing this. Even though I'm not rich yet, and this is the plan that God had for me to help people learn how to get these people. No, they probably sent you notice. It got lost in the mail. I'm sure they did. But that's I've heard some way more crappier shit. It went on than them not giving you notice. Good evening, Kevin. Welcome to the show. What borrower's waiver? There was no bar. You are the bar. You are the bar. There's no bar. This is the fraud. This is the other part of the fraud. There was never any loan. Okay? There was never any loan. What they did was, after you sign the deed, after you sign that shit and left the table, and sometimes they do the mortgage, they do the deed and the actual mortgage document. After you sign and leave the table, they stamp pay to the order of on the deed, and you can go check your shit. It's probably still stamped on there because they don't try to hide nothing because nobody knows, nobody cares. And if you do, what are you gonna do? Because you used to go to court and the judge is going to throw shit out. They stamp pay to the order of on it. And usually the bank vice president signs it, or Linda Green. She's a bunch of kids in the office, whatever. And they process that through the Federal Reserve for electronic credits. There was never any loan. And Modern Money Mechanics is a publication put out by these people that know way more about the fracking banking system. That's what they call it. They said that these fools are given 9 times the amount that goes into demand deposit account. How the hell can the bank be going broke? Okay, so let's go back to the gate. How did this shit start? Sign the property. State law says they're supposed to deliver your deed, and it's not conveyance or whatever, yada yada yada, until it's delivered. But what they do is what they call their constructive delivery. And they register that shit in their office. And that registration allows the first this is my opinion, based off the real-time feedback, that registration in the office allows the first illegal lien to be put on your property. I know, Coach, are you sure you're sipping tea? No, I'm not sure about the tea, but I am about to, I was going to say pee, but that wouldn't. I am about what the hell I'm saying. Okay? Look at it this way. If there are several people who own property, both of the people on both sides, and sometimes one on my head too, all the people that own the property have to be present to sign. Okay, so the fact that they accepted the signature from y'all happy asses, the lender accepted the signature from y'all happy asses, proves that you own the property already, and I smell stink. And this is how I punch attorneys in the face when they try to give me a hard time about what I'm saying or what I played football in college in the early 80s. I boxed for 5 or 6 years. Okay, those are 2 things not smart people do. So I had to keep this shit simple. Yeah, but actually, the other reason I like to keep it simple is because it alleviates the arguing. There's no arguing the facts. Okay, so the fact that they accepted your signature proof that you already own the property. And so now the lien is stinking. Okay, but the lien's gonna stink more because the other reason that they registered your property so they can reclassify it for the sole purpose of illegal taxation. Because it says in 2 different places in the Constitution that your private property is not to be taxed. So they change it to one of their commercial designations, residential, agricultural, or commercial, for the sole purpose of taxation. Okay, so if y'all all understand that, then Coach got a question. What's the most important thing you need to do in this process? Get your lien. If your deed was not registered in the office, would they be able to verify that there was a mortgage lien against your property? I'll wait. That's powerful right there. Back in the day, you didn't have to give them your deed so they could go put it someplace to make sure that your property, and there was the ones that stealing and jumping, no. You had that shit notarized, and you kept it in, I don't know, whether next to the guns or in your firebox or in your mattress with your money. I know it wasn't in their office. If anybody wanted to take over they'd have to show up with a deed that's notarized prior to yours. In my mind, that wouldn't even require me to go bust my shit out of the mattress. I bet, dude, whip your shit. Oh, hell no, get your ass off my property. Oh, no, it was simple back then. So how did the process go? Well, you bought the shit just like you buy a vehicle, or you buy whatever, you give your stuff, and they give you the bill of sale, and you got the deed signed off to you, and you go put that shit in your mattress. Oh, but now you have to let them register it for you so they can make sure the title is clear. And then they take it, and this is my opinion, and they take it and they register it in the Register of Deeds Association's office. Every state has one. They might call it a little different name, so don't get twisted on that shit. Every state has. They register in the Register of Deeds Association's office, and then that registration allows your property to go out all over the world. And in a non-judicial foreclosure, okay, they tell you they're going to sell your shit on the courthouse steps in 30 days, and they do. Y'all ass know that the government don't move like that. There ain't no way in hell that they could pull that shit off if they didn't already have a file over here and already have the property ownership system is structured to do exactly what it's structured to do. That you leave, they change it, turn it into a security. Okay, so the premium foreclosure defense lawsuit package that we have, the $1,500 package, addresses this real estate deed fraud. And it addresses the 42 USC 1983 situation. The $300 package addresses the 42 USC 1983 statutes and codes, non-violent laws, whatever situation, whatever. Okay, but the other one addresses this real estate deed fraud situation that takes place. And in the premium package, you're saying there's 6, in addition to the 42 USC crap, you're saying there's 6 things missing from the contract that attorneys are going to use, would like to use. Those 6 things that you're saying that we're saying missing in the real estate deed fraud lawsuit package that's in the premium, those 6, that you're saying is missing from the what they're filing in court for the foreclosure, is that you and the lender agreed that the deal would be done according to the GAAP accounting principles. And they can't say that it wasn't, because then they'd be admitting that they violated federal laws, forcing them to visualize shared liability. Okay, another one I can remember on top of my head is that the bar would be repaid. And the bar is you and your spouse or whoever the hell signed. They should repay. So the practice that we put together a structure that they don't want to go into court. The judge is not wanting to sign his name or her name on none of this stuff, and they can't respond to federal case law with. And so, we have a situation. Okay, so Lovely, you're still talking about the conventional stuff. They're letting them do that. What about suing the state and in Georgia, there's the master of equity is not even a judge. He's an attorney that was appointed to run this. Look that shit up, Lovely. I got a bunch of people that I'm not working with, that have invested in my stuff. There's not a lot of work to be done if you watch the updated instructional videos on the YouTube channel in the instructional video playlist. Okay, so what about? Well, we're adding them to the counterclaim, the $200 million counterclaim as plaintiffs for the federal stuff that and we're found that in the state case. Now we just added all of them to their own case. They can't litigate a case they're a party to. They can't represent each other because they're from and they can't represent other members from the same corporation because they're considered a fake ass corporation. So that's the way that goes. We've been doing this a long time, and we got this shit wrapped up to where we bagged the ass in the corner. I'm just saying. Well, if you was in my program, Lovely, there would be a case in federal court, and you would add the judge that runs the mills down there, and all the same people do this shit everywhere. You add their ass to your federal shit and file it. That's it. We, well, you can sue them through an injunction. You do whatever you want. I'm gonna let you do your own thing because you should let us go to your show, to your stream, so we can learn how you're doing things. On my show, we're gonna do things the way that I do them is what we use. Came from the real-time feedback from everybody working in the program, not just one person. So, but thank you for offering your expertise, I guess. And we're going to stick with the eviction situation that I got, where we do the notice of conveyance and the less finished lien to jam up. You changed that name. This is Wanda. I know this is Wanda. Dude, I got a degree in communications. Okay, I already did. That's Wanda. Wanda, stop trying to take over my show. Come on now. I ain't got time for this today. I'm about to go now anyway. Thank you guys for the value sharing your time. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you're facing this foreclosure eviction process, get over to the website there and get that package. And the first 5 people we're going to have, I'm going to have, it's not a class, but I'm going to have coaching available for the first 5 people that invest in this package, because I want to make sure that I see how they try to get out of it, so that we can close the door on that, like we're doing right now. So thank you guys for the value sharing your time. I'll see you in the next live stream.